ほら、ルフィ、今一緒に海賊になる仲間を探してるんだ。
Hello guys, welcome to my channel The Wandering Zoro, your go-to destination for anime-related content. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. In today's video, we're going to be diving into part 1 of the series. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. The sky is blue. That's a commonly accepted fact. Why is it blue? Mothers say it because it is. Scientists say it's because of the curvature of the Earth and the way the sun interacts with the atmosphere. But as I lay here, staring at it with my guts open to the world, I wonder if it's blue to be peaceful, soothing? I can feel my vital fluid pooling around me on the roof of the school, a dark red, the reverse of the sky's light blue. Breathing hurts. My ribs were broken. Maybe 1 or 2 are all that's keeping it all in place. Most of my body is either blasted by explosions, broken from punches, or frozen or burnt by ice and fire. But it doesn't particularly hurt as much as I expected it to. Maybe my nerves are just that fried. I'm so tired. I feel my eyes close against my will, and I feel my heart stop. The air grows colder. My eyes snap open, and I find myself in a blank expanse. It's not black, but it's not colored. I can tell it's there, but my eyes can't see it. My feet slowly move of their own accord and shuffle me forward. I don't know where I am or what I'm doing, but I know I'm tired. I'm so tired. I'm not sure when my eyes began registering something different to the blank expanse, but I do notice it eventually. A glow. My feet pick up speed to a normal walk. The glow brightens as I move forward, and I speed up into a slow trot, then a jog, until finally I'm sprinting as fast as I can, feeling more and more energy fill me as I run harder, faster. I will find the source of the glow. I have to. I might go mad in here otherwise. I'm running in leaps and bounds as my feet lift off the ground from the force I'm putting into my steps. My arms lift into the air beside me, and I feel happiness as I pretend to fly towards the source of the light. A blue light. Now I'm closer. I feel as if I'm coming home after a particularly bad day at school. I land after a particularly far leap and jump forward, not upwards and rocket forward, spinning in the air slightly as I laugh. Gravity cannot hold me. After what I perceive to be hours of flying fun, I finally reach the source of the light, a strong light blue. It's a small heart, about the size of a fist and upside down. And suddenly, I feel understanding. My hand reaches forward and grips my soul. Power floods through my body and mind, the blank expanse bursting with color and shape that's blinding at first. And suddenly I'm back in a bed, and I can tell I'm awake as the smell of hospital antibacterial chemicals flood my nose. Nobody would dream smell, let alone hospital smell. I groan softly and turn my head to the side of a hospital room. There were a few other beds in the room with occupants. By the side of the bed was some machines, one that let out a beep every second, one that seemed to be pushing air into my lungs through a tube in my mouth, which felt like I was choking. I felt like I was suffocating. My hands reach up to my mouth. I notice my skin is pale white as my hands clasp around the tube. My arms weakling tug at the obstruction in my throat, and it slides painfully. I wince but tug harder, feeling it drag on my body till it pops and goes flying off the bed. I gasp for air and feel my heart slowing, having sped up during the effort. People, doctors, rush in and come over looking panicked. "You idiot, that's keeping you alive." One doctor looked enraged as he saw me awake. He seems familiar with his goggles and mustache. "Don't need it, I can breath on my own." I glare at him as I rasp out, "You did. You nearly gave us a heart attack." He glares back. If doctors are going to have a heart attack, maybe they should start hitting the gym. My glare turns to his rotund stomach, which kept getting in the way as he tried to check my vitals. I see him grab a needle. The beat machine goes mad, and I snap my fingers on instinct. A bone erupts from the wall and knocks the needle out of his hand. The needle lands on the bed between my legs as the bone fades. The nurse grabs the needle after getting over her shock and took a look at the contents, likely trying to see what the doctor planned. "Doctor, this is a near-lethal dose of painkillers for an adult. What were you going to do with this? She glared at the doctor. None of your concern. He glared at her in a practiced manner, but it doesn't faze her. That glare doesn't work for me. My quirk negates it. She reaches for her phone and presses a few buttons, bringing it to her ear. Yes, Mr. Furon? Dr. Garaki was about to inject a lethal dose of painkillers into a previously thought to be quirkless child. Garaki. I look at him, and he seems familiar, but I also notice the fear in his posture. I used to always feel like that, so I can tell when he's about to run. Another snap of my fingers has a wall of bones sprouting around of him the moment he turned to run. I can feel the energy flowing out of me and make me want to sleep. I fight it off. I won't let this guy escape. Suddenly, a surge of energy floods me, and I can easily keep my concentration. He slams into the wall of bones and bounces off to fall on his rear. Suddenly, I remember where I knew him from. He was my quirk doctor. I realize. What? The nurse asks. He was the one my parent took me to get my quirk diagnosed, when I didn't manifest it, I nod at the guy. Security rushes in at the commotion, and the nurse explains to them what happened and zip-tie Garaki's arms behind his back to keep him secure. I left the bones up because I wanted answers, meaning he wasn't going anywhere. Why? Was all I asked as the nurse got me some water. It soothed the burn in my throat. Why, what kid? He looked at me. What did you like about my quirk status? What? Izuku Midoriya. Quirk. Quirkless, diagnosed through X-ray, double-toe joint. 6 years ago, you diagnosed me and my sister. Izumi Yagi. She has a powerful physical enhancement quirk. Why did you lie? I didn't. You are quirkless. I stare at him and snap my fingers to form a bone in the air and wiggling my finger in a circle. Doesn't appear to be that way. I frown at the gobsmacked look in his face. Something doesn't seem to add up. He thinks I really should be quirkless, so either the double-toe joint quirkless myth is actually true. The door opens, and I'm knocked out of my musings. The bone I'm floating vanishes, and I look to the door. The police are here. With them is a very familiar face. Uncle Tsukauchi. A smile forms across my face. Izuku, how are you? He asks, coming over. Oh, not too bad. About confused. Dr. Garaki seems to adamantly believe I'm quirkless. Yet those are my quirk summoned bones around him. His eyes flicker to Garaki. Really, I'm most curious. Now, Garaki, why would you believe that he is quirkless when he's just a late bloomer? Garaki stays quiet. No need to answer. That's answer enough. You clearly have something you're hiding. Let's get him down to the precinct. Izuku, can you stand? He asks. I try and sit up and find it's quite difficult, but I've always been a little hard-headed, so I get to my feet, feeling much stronger. Yeah, I can move. I'll go get you some clothes, Mr. Midoriya. The ones you came in are basically shreds, but I'd like you to come back later today or tomorrow to get a checkup. Just to make sure your body isn't pretending to be all right. The nurse walks out of the room, and I look for the calendar. How long a year? I've been unconscious for a year. I burst out. You've what? I've been meeting up with your dad regularly, and he's not said a thing to me. Just that you must be busy, Tsukauchi asks, his tone sounding much more serious than I've heard in a while. We tend to talk every few months, catch up and all that. He knows of the bullying, but the only investigation he tried to do was shut down instantly, since not only was Izumi involved, but so was Shoto Todoroki, Endeavor's son. I kinda haven't spoken to Tashinori in years. I wince as his eyes turned thunderous. Tashinori is in a world of trouble. Let me guess, because you were quirkless? His face turned understanding. Yeah, the nurse came in, and I eagerly grabbed my clothes, closing the curtain to change. I had to carefully undo the wrapping and pull out each needle carefully. I had like 5 in my right arm, which I hadn't noticed as I pulled the tube out of my mouth. I pull the curtain back and step out in some plain black shorts and a blue t-shirt with cheap shoes. The shoes were uncomfortable because of my pinky toes being a touch too long and being squeezed. Ready, I wince a bit. So where should I bill the fees to? The nurse asks. Tashinori Yagi, Medicare card number. I write it down. He has me and my sister using my mother's maiden name, and I hope I'm still on it. If it isn't, we can just bill his bank account. I nod and rush to follow Uncle Tsukauchi as he walks with the officers out of the building. They get in their cars, and I realize that there's no room for me. I'll walk. Be a good stretch of the legs, I told Uncle Tsukauchi when he asked. It's a 5-block walk, so I get started. And my legs veer off into the first alley I see to cut through to the next street. I come out and look around to see unfamiliar buildings. No way it was that long that all the businesses changed. I look right and see myself in the alley directly next to the station. What? I look back down the alley and it looks different to the one I walked down. What the? How the hell did I get here? After a minute, I just shrug and assume my mind edited the walk out of my memory and walk towards the door when I notice some cars pull up. And out comes Uncle Tsukauchi. Izuku? How'd you get here so quick? He asked, momentarily off guard. I think I teleported. I looked back into the alley in confusion. I tried taking a shortcut and wound up here. Whatever, we can figure that out another time. He turns away and Garaki is dragged from a different car into the station, his eyes bugging out when he sees me too. I enter the station, my mind spinning. What on earth is my quirk? I stand in the dark room behind a one-way mirror and watch Garaki sitting across from Uncle Tsukauchi. So, care to explain why you were about to inject a lethal dose of painkillers into an 11-year-old child? Uncle asks. Garaki says nothing. Come on, you were caught red-handed by 2 eyewitnesses. You had to have a reason? You've only met Mr. Midoriya once in the past, when you diagnosed him as quirkless. You can't hold me here, Garaki sighed. He's worried but not scared, meaning he likely has someone who can get him out of mutter. If he does, it's someone he knows definitely. So why would he be worried? Come on, ask about my quirk, make him angry. That's definitely the thing he's worried about. What do you mean, kid? The officer beside me asks quietly. Garaki declared me quirkless based off my double-toe joint. That's considered a myth, but he adamantly believes that I should be quirkless. Meaning if it is a myth, the I had a quirk, one he must believe I no longer have why. The guy grabs an earpiece and hands it to me. Repeat that to the detective. He can run off a few questions. I repeat my theory in its entirety, including what I saw in the hospital. So, if you're going to talk about why you were going to kill Mr. Midoriya, why do you think he's quirkless? How did you test him as a child? I gave him an x-ray. He has 2 joints in his pinky toe, Garaki answered. But isn't that theory, the double-jointed toe theory of a person having 2 joints being quirkless, a myth? Multiple studies have been shown where people with a double-toe joint have had a quirk. No, it's not a myth. Garaki spat, making Uncle's foot twitch under the table. They're just naysayers, disbelievers. That was a lie, the cop beside me mutters. So he definitely knows something. Hey, who started that theory? Garaki, I believe. Why? Well, what if he spread that theory on purpose? Garaki, you made that theory correct? Yes, so? Did you spread it so the quirkless you diagnosed slipped through the cracks? Garaki's foot twitches. Bingo came from beside me. No, Uncle's foot twitches. Who do you work for? The hospital. Besides the hospital, who do you work for? Nobody twitch. Does this person you may or may not work for have a use for the people who you diagnose at quirkless? No. What about their quirks? I asked. Does this person you may or may not work for have a use for their quirks? No twitch. Uncle kept questioning Garaki for a while before making a subtle sign, as if he's irritated. He leaves the room and comes into the observation room. Okay, this is really bad. Izuku, we have to get you to UA. If I'm right in who Garaki works for, you need to be out of his grasp. Uncle looked pale. Are you okay? I asked, removing the earpiece. Definitely not. Sir, who do you think Garaki works for? The cop beside me asks. Level 0 classified. Go see the blanker we have on staff, Uncle Tsukauchi ordered. Yes, sir, he left, looking pale himself. Let's go. We head outside and turn to the alley. You've been near UA, right? Uncle asks. Yeah. Remember any alleys near it? Yeah. Focused on the memory, the image of the alley, and hold on to me, he demands. I grab his hand. We move through the alley, and this time I notice how the alley changes subtly, becoming more dirty, a box to the side. We come out, and to the right was UA. Perfect, let's hurry. I could feel myself getting tense as we got closer to the gate. Similarly, Uncle was squeezing my hand tight as if someone might try and grab me. It was only once we got into the gate and a camera looked at us and the gate opened and we were through that I breathed a sigh of relief. We were met by a small white animal that I couldn't identify wearing a suit. Tsukauchi, how wonderful to see you. And you are? He turns to me. Nizu, this is Izuku, Tashinori's son. I suspect that All for One may have stolen his quirk as a child. Who's All for One? Nizu froze and tensed before staring at him. Come with me. We follow him through a series of confusing halls into what must be his office. He opens the wall and presses a code into a machine in the secret control panel. How sure are you? Nizu asks, turning to Takachi. Very sure. I believe I just spent hours questioning his quirk doctor who would be used to diagnose powerful quirks as quirkless to be stolen. How do you know this? We were called to the hospital where we found Izuku in a bed. Apparently he's been in a coma the last year. Excuse me? Why wasn't I told? Nizu asks, a cup of tea in his hands. Where'd that come from? I only found out today. Anyways, Garaki was going to inject a lethal dose of painkillers into Izuku. Who stopped him? Nurse called her boss, and he called me. The entire thing was explained in detail, besides my powers. So why did you look so panicked on camera? Izuku has a quirk. Nizu turns to me, and I snap my fingers, a bone appearing. They can also come out of surfaces, and I can teleport, as well as control these in the air so far. So far? I've only been doing this for a few hours. There's definitely more. Strange. Any ideas how you have quirk? If we're really sure you was taken? When I explain what happened while I was in my coma. So you saw something that you think is your soul? Nizu clarifies, and I shake my head. I know, that was definitely my soul. And my powers definitely come from me grabbing it. Nizu looks at me for a moment before nodding. I've come to the same conclusion. I suggest you explore your abilities on campus. We got dorms a few years back, so you can stay in those, and we'll have to figure out your education, since obviously you can't just go back to public school. I can self-study. I've been doing it for years, since nobody else really wanted to hang out with the quirkless kid. I shrug. Besides, I'm pretty sure I'm ahead of the rest of my current year level anyways. Oh, Nizu begins to smile. MHM, trigonometry isn't too hard, and I did that a while before the coma. All right, how did you end up in a coma? Nizu asks, looking all business. It won't get anything to happen, Nizu. The one time I tried to start a case, it got shut down, and my boss threatened my entire career, Uncle says, sitting in one of the chairs. I drop into the other as Nizu takes his place behind the desk. Yes, well, I'm not you now, and Sakachi. I got so much dirt on everyone that I basically ruled Japan, remember? Uncle shivers. But I forgot about that on purpose, since it gave me nightmares, he muttered. Shoto Todoroki, Katsuki Bakugo, and Izumi Yagi. Yagi? I ask. Izumi was a Midoriya. They changed her name on your birthday a month ago. Said she was sufficiently prepared to defend herself from villains if they attempted to kidnap her. I couldn't help it. I snorted. And if they wanted to kill her to break his spirit? I swear the brain skipped those two and jumped right to me. I shake my head. We tried that approach, Nizu says while typing away at his computer. Okay, their records are spotless, though yours is filled with black spots. Including the last year, oh ho ho, these guys don't know what they're dealing with. He cackles, making Uncle Tsukachi tremble in fear. So Izuku, what dorms do you think you'd like to join? Nizu asks as he turns from the screen. Well, I guess the first-year dorms? Since I'll have to move there when I start attending anyways. And what makes you so sure you'll be a student in 3 years' time? Because I know you'll make sure that I, with my soul-based powers, will be a student here, and I suspect you'll have me join 1A in class up to the day I smirk at him. Correct. Nizu looked excited. This will also let you experiment with your powers, see how they work, what they can do. I'll even see if I can't get you into the hero licensing exam. I want to see their faces. He cackles, likely imagining it now. I don't think Izuku could do that with so little Tim. Uncle starts only for me to cut him off. I can do it. Nizu, if you can get me in that exam, I'll pass. I could feel my power flooding me, determination filling my body. Unbeknownst to me, my eyes change color and glow a light blue. But his scara is still white. I think I know how your power works, Izuku. How? I ask, my eyes changing back. Determination. Your eyes just glowed blue. I suggest testing it in the mirror. A good idea. I still haven't seen if my face is as pale as the rest of my skin is now. I smile. Okay, so you remember the way out? Nizu asks. Nope, but I'll just take a shortcut. Shortcut? Teleport. I doubt I need alleyways to use a shortcut. Ah, okay. Well, outside the front door we came in. If you turn left, you'll be following a path towards the dormitories. 1A should be the first you see, I nod. Will we be returning to the hospital for my checkup? or will it be done here? I ask. Recovery girl can do it fine, Nisa says. Now run along, Izuku. I get up and head out the door after saying bye. I turn down the hall and imagine the front door as I take a turn, coming out the door with an exuberant laugh. I can teleport. The smile stuck on my face the entire way to the dorms. Despite having come out of coma, I'm not too upset. Besides feeling tired from all the sudden exercise, I'm actually quite energetic. These dorms are huge, I exclaim, coming in the door and looking at the high ceiling. Kid, where'd you come from? A blonde girl asks, having come out of what sleeps like the kitchen. My mom slips out of my mouth. For a moment, I'm mortified, but then she lets out a small giggle. That was a good one, but really? Please tell me I don't need to give a teenage girl the talk. I wasn't expecting that. For another 20 years, I roll my eyes and act exasperated. Another giggle. No, like, why are you here? You look a little young to be a student. I know, I'm 11. Also, I'll be living here and joining you in classes, but officially I won't be a student. It's more because I manifested my quirk today after coming out of coma, and Nizu thinks it's best I stay here while I experiment, mostly the truth, omitted. Still don't know who he is. Really? Strange. What's your quirk? Well, so far I can summon bones and teleport, and my eyes can glow if I'm determined to do something. Besides that, I don't know what I can do, though I can feel I could do more. I snap my fingers, and a bone appears in the air beside me, which I control mentally. I make it fly over to her and go around her body before vanishing. For now, I need food, the whatever spare room there is. Since I haven't had solid food in a year, my stomach loudly grumbles, and everything spun for a moment. Yeah, we can get you some food. My name's Yu Takayama. Izuku Midoriya. Nice to meet you, Yu. Over the next few years, I experimented with my powers and got used to physical exercise again. I found I have the most weird set of powers I'd ever heard of. I'd started a new notebook filled with my classmates' quirks and my own in the last page going inwards in a cipher. Quirk, energize bones. Bones. I can summon bones of any size in the air or from any surface. They could be full bones or jagged sharp bones. Weapon creation. I can summon weapons made of bone. Energize. I can passively add energy to my bones to strengthen them, making them near indestructible. Boost. My physical strength, speed, and durability are enhanced by my determination. Blue bones. I can summon blue bones that hurt people if they move. Orange bones. I can summon orange bones that hurt people if they don't move. Gaster Blaster. I can summon dragon-like skulls with glowing blue eyes that fire beams of energy and can come in 3 sizes. Small is human head size. Medium is the size of a rhino head, and large is the size of All Might. Psychokinesis. I can move a person or object in any way using telekinesis that makes them glow blue. Judgment/karma. This allows me to do continuous damage over time in comparison to a person's sins, as the person's own body tears itself apart if my eye is yellow or flickering yellow. Determination. As long as I have determination to achieve something, I can never run out of energy for my powers. ESP Field. I can sense people and objects within 100 meters of myself passively at all times, but I can boost it consciously to 1 kilometer. Shortcut. I can teleport anywhere I want as long as I either know the coordinates, can see or imagine the place, or there's a person I'm familiar with there. Drawback. If I'm not sufficiently determined to do something, the power needed to use my powers will drain my stamina. My stamina is not enhanced or affected by my determination aside from the drawback. Everyone was confused by my quirk and how I have infinite energy as long as I'm determined, but I just assumed that somehow my soul was converting my determination into energy somehow. Everyone accepted it since it made some sense. And I pulled the quirks make no sense card. But now that I've learned what my power can do, I can tell I've discovered everything. I've begun combat training. I'm mostly focused on dodging since my stamina is horrible. Increasing my stamina also means less chance of me being KO'd when I don't have enough determination. I do use my abilities in the fights and work as if I was part of the class, including the homework, simply because it's something to keep me entertained. I also gained a strong affinity for puns and jokes, simply because I found a drawback to my quirk. Being so strong without any villains to fight is boring, which is bad, considering if I'm lazy, I'm not bothered with doing anything, which means I'm not determined. Well, I pretend I'm lazy spouting off puns and jokes while I'm just casually, lazily sitting or walking slowly. Underestimation. The year I'm going to be a first year comes, and I watch in interest as the entrance exam plays out in the monitor. It was toward the end of the test when I saw something that had me teleport into the test site. I bend down and lift the rubble on the brown-haired girl and snap my fingers. "Hey, big guy, I got a bone to pick with you." I call up to the robot. A Gaster Blaster forms behind me and charges up. I pick up the girl as a massive light blue beam of energy fired, outlining my form. I walk into the wally beside the building and come out in front of Recovery Girl as the Gaster Blaster disintegrated behind me. "Broken ankle," I tell her as I put the girl down and walk into the alley. The girl stared at me till Recovery Girl got her attention. In the split instant she looked away, I returned to the observation room. Nobody had noticed my presence for about a minute. They were too busy staring at the monitor. "So what y'all staring at?" I asked. Everyone turned around so fast I was worried they broke their necks. "What? Is there something on my face?" "'Cause to be honest, you're creeping me out." Classes start up, and I learn who my classmates are and what they're like. But because of my parents, Bakugo and Izumi managed to escape prosecution, Todoroki's father saving him from prison. It was a close thing. Very close. Izumi was still blacklisted from UA, so I only have to be concerned about Bakugo and Todoroki. I did my best to play my skills down, something I told Aizawa I would do since I'm extremely overpowered. Combat class, first week. I finished getting changed into my hero suit, a white shirt and blue zipper hoodie without strings. My pants are black sweats, and in all of this is ketchup bottles and supplies. Why? It thickens my look, makes me appear fatter than I am. Good to make my opponent underestimate me. Walking out of the tunnel, I stare in disgust at the sheer obviousness at how the class was dressed. Midoriya? Why is your outfit so plain? I turn and see Yaoyorozu, who is almost flashing her melons at me. Simple. I'm not one for the spotlight. But how are you meant to be noticed, Mina pouted. I don't want to be noticed. I'm leaving that up to those guys. I point at Bakugo and Todoroki. The two turn to look, and I teleport into some shadows by a building. All Might arrived, making me grind my teeth. At least he won't recognize me. Ever since I first transformed, my changes continue to grow. My pale skin became bone white, hair becoming snow white, and just as soft. Many of the girls in the upper classes like to play with it. My eyes have a few stages when in or out of combat. When out of combat, and most of the time my eyes are green with a white scara, normal. But if they're blue, I'm using my powers with only slight amounts of determination, enough to power them. If they glimmer, then I'm feeling extremely determined. However, if I become enraged, large amounts of animosity will force my eyes to go simple judgment. In combat, however, my eyes have a natural black scara. If I have a white pupil, I'm prepared to fight. Two glowing iris with black pupil, and I'm fighting, but without much effort. If my right eye goes out and my left is emitting raw energy, then my determination is fully running in my control, and I'm working hard to win. Same for if it's flickering yellow and blue, but I'm doing it for more of a judgment reason, taking judgment in my own hands as karma fills my blows. Karma is strange. I can actively use it myself, but if my opponent is particularly evil, a heavy sinner, I can access it and they'll become hurt as the fight progresses. Karma attacks, acting like a parasite that hurts the host with every sin it encounters. Karma. Perhaps the only ability had I have constantly active at full power. It works with my ESP field, and if I send someone with a certain amount of sins they've not paid for, I can see it. Literally, I see every soul, the more darkness filling it, the more sins they've committed that hasn't been repaid. But their eyes is what makes this power specifically creepy. I can get a sense for how much someone's willing to kill. There are 20 levels, each one making the eye sharper, the scare darker. At 1520, their pupils glow red to me. Bakugo and Todoroki are at level 9 and 7 respectively. Todoroki wanted to kill me because Izumi wanted it. He's mostly apathetic. Bakugo, however, is willing to kill me, but he's not so stupid as to just do it. The rooftop was secluded at a place nobody would think twice about explosions, and nobody cared for a corkless runt there. The class's souls match what little I know of them. 1. Mizo Shoji, patience. 2. Koji Koda, kindness. 3. Rikido Sato, bravery. 4. Tenya Ida, integrity. 5. Hanta Siro, perseverance. 6. Shoto Todoroki, apathy. 7. Momo Yaoyorozu, justice. 8. Katsuki Bakugo, determination. 9. Eijiro Kirishima, determination. 10. Mashireo Ojiro, justice. 11. Yuga Aoyama, patience. 12. Denki Kaminari, perseverance. 14. Mina Ishido, bravery. 15. Fumikage to Koyami, determination. 16. Achiko Uraraka, bravery. 17. Kyokujiro, perseverance. 18. Toru Hagakure, kindness. 19. Tsuyu Ajui, kindness. 20. Minoru Mineta, cowardice. Yeah, good crop this year. Last year, Aizawa's class was full of corruption, apathy, animosity, and dishonesty students. A single perseverance student in there. He was kept around but bundled into 1B. But now, with our teacher here, finally, we can get started. I focused back on the class, just as people started grabbing ball from the boxes in some kind of mystery team-up thing. Collecting mine, I see I'm with Uraraka. Great work. Now, I will pick 2 at a time to signal who will go against who. All Might declared loudly, and in front of everyone he started pulling it out. Team A versus Team E. I turn to look at Bakugo and Ida, the former grinning maniacally and the latter well. I can't see his face in that idiotic helmet, if his engines means he's a speed type, so why does he need such heavy armor? Training, perhaps? The pair wandered into the building with their bomb, while Uraraka and I met up at the door. Do you have a plan? Uraraka asked. Yeah, Bakugo's gonna focus me, so when he does you go on ahead, I'll catch up. I took a draw of ketchup. She just stared at me annoyed. Now, isn't the time for puns? Really? I thought it was humorous. No. Your funeral. Begin. All Might called. I snap my fingers, eyes going dark as I step in first. I ignore Uraraka's gasp, instead focusing on Bakugo as he moved through the halls down to us. Uraraka, that stairwell 3rd floor, right side of the building has the bomb I skateboard. Get going cause Bakugo's almost here. Nothing more was needed as she rushed up the stairs in her teeny little astronaut heels. Bakugo came around the corner and I grin. Hello, Bakugo, ready to have a bad time? I ask. Shut up and die. He punched at me. I catch the right hook and shoulder toss him, hopping back. Oh, Bakugo, you know it's a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing, flowers are blooming, kids like you should be burning in hell. With a snap of my fingers, all light in the hall faded into black, and color vanished from our bodies. In front of us, 2 hearts formed, his red, right way up heart, and my upside-down white heart. What are you doing, freak? He demanded as I relax, hands in my pockets. The ground underneath him crackles, and he barely blasted himself from the ground to dodge the Bones hat suddenly blasted up. I kept on the attack, the same Bones leaping from the ground and shooting at him, an explosion, and duck up Bakugo out of the way. Best watch your step, kid, else you might get boned. I grin, more Bones forming around me and launching at him. He barely managed to slip through them, blasting at me. He looked over me, a grin of victory on his face, even as an explosion sparked in his palm. I vanished from view, spinning to the right and evading the blast. Instead, a massive bone shot from the ground at him and caught him in the chest, sending him back down the hall. I really hate your types, you know? I grinned nastier as he climbed to his feet, fully aware the entire class could hear me through the earpiece. One of my abilities allows me to see a person's sins. Do you know how many I see when I look at you? Die, he shouted, unleashing a powerful blast at me. I block it with a bone wall I send at him. Like your previous victim? That made his movements freeze for a split moment. Yeah, that's right. I can see the son of murder on your soul. It disgusts me that UA was forced to allow you in. Die, you freak. He pulled his bracer arm back, revealing a small pin. Bakugo, don't. You'll kill him. All Might shouted. Not if he dodges. He pulled the pin. I don't bother, just making another wall, while adding sides to put me in a box with an open back. The explosion, while powerful and effective, went directly over me. With the smoke filling the room, I hear Uraraka. Midoriya, I'm here. What do I do? She asked, whispering. I vanish my bones, instead using a bunch of blue bones to trap Bakugo and teleport up to her, behind her, and out of camera's view. Let's handle him. Then she squeaked and spun. Where the hell did you come from? She hissed. Downstairs I drawl. I walk past her into the bomb room. Ida came at me, and I duck, then summon a bone I used to hit him into a wall, instead trapping him in place with V-shaped bone protrusions. I touch the bomb and dispel the bones I still have active, and snap my fingers as the battle area downstairs faded, and my eyes returned to normal. To be honest, I expected more from UA students. I sigh and drink some. Ketchup. Red determination. The pure will to live / unyielding hope / refusal to accept fate. Encompasses hope and spite. Strengths. Never gives up, makes their dreams come true. Weaknesses. Doesn't know when to quit, bad at self-awareness. Flaw. Apathy scientifically. Hopelessness / despair, casually the lack of will to live and lack of interest in change. Abilities. Determination knife. Form red knives made from raw determination that can emit a red slash of determination energy or multiple that can be telekinetically controlled. Determination shield. Form a red, semi-transparent barrier of determination energy. The stronger the determination, the tougher the shield. Reset. A human with a determination soul can, upon death, reset and move to a new timeline where they can change the outcome that caused them to die. They can go to any point in their life while keeping all of their skills, memories, and knowledge intact. Refusal. Through sheer determination, a being can force their body and soul to stay together while a new healing factor repairs their injuries. The determination can either be taken from within or from others. There are 4 requirements in order to do this. The being must have a great deal of magic. The being's soul must be attuned to determination or have determination be a close second in terms of virtue and have a reason beyond self-preservation to continue living. An unwavering purpose. At least one unbreakable bond with someone who wants you to live. Orange bravery. The will to leap into action despite overwhelming fear. It is theorized that liquid bravery looks like glowing beer. Strengths. Fear just makes them fight harder, boldly speaks their mind. Weaknesses. Prone to anger, bad at being discreet. Flaw. Discretion, not getting into a dangerous situation. Essentially cowardice. Abilities. Bravery is the core component in fire magic and orange attacks. Bullet time. Physical enhancement. Strength / durability. Yellow justice. The will to know what is right and wrong and a fight for it. Strengths. Unafraid of hard work. Powerful sense of morality. Weaknesses. Can become self-righteous, slow to forgive others and themselves. Flaw. Mercy justice can become vengeance if the concentration is too high. Abilities. Justice is a core component in lightning, precision, speed, and rapid-fire damage spells. Judgment gaze. Allows the soul to instantly know if someone is lying or is harboring ill intent. Judgment blast. Shoot a blast of yellow energy that will hurt someone more equal to the amount of sin they've committed. Green kindness. The will to forgive and show mercy to those who hurt you. Strengths. A natural caregiver, puts the needs of others ahead of their own. Weaknesses. Often forgets their own needs, prone to spreading themselves too thin. Flaw. Self-esteem, taking care of your own needs ahead of the needs of others. Abilities. Kindness is a core component in boosting plant and healing spells. Cure all. Kindness can heal any wound, whether it be physical or psychological. Psychological healing requires daily applications. Should this be used on a human, lower doses should be administered so as not to risk killing the human from magic overload, which would be roughly as effective as Prozac. This effectiveness of healing mental states is increased by your understanding of the pain of others and can be used on the caster themselves. A Yandere, for example, is a soul of kindness that is deficient in justice and integrity. That said, kindness is humanity's rarest trait. Kindness shield. Form a nigh impenetrable green shield that protects others. Cyan patience. The will to wait for the right moment to strike. Strengths. Waits for the perfect moment to strike, an observant gatherer of information. Weaknesses. Bad at improvising, the perfect moment may never come. Flaw. Boldness when you stop waiting and simply do something. Abilities. Patience is a core component in ice magic, blue attacks, and spells relating to calm and stillness. Astral projection. Time dilation. Slow down or speed up time around one's immediate area. More patience equals more dilation. Blue integrity. The will to know who you are and remain true to it. Strengths. Unashamed to be themselves, encourages others to be their best selves as well. Weaknesses. Slow to self-improvement, prone to arrogance. Flaw. Flexibility, willingness to change who you are as a person. Abilities. Integrity is a core component in water, gravity, momentum, and flow magic. Telekinesis. Energy tendrils. Purple perseverance. The will to endure hardships and use those hardships to your advantage. Strengths. Always learning and adapting. Failure makes them stronger. Weaknesses. Prone to overthinking, can become too fixated on a particular problem. Flaw. Humility, perseverance can become pride, and humility keeps it in check. Abilities. Perseverance is a core component in spells that focus on reducing incoming damage. Polymorph. Weakening beam. The more persevering, the higher the damage reduction in fractions. Between full. It differs from determination in that perseverance souls adapt, while determination souls dig in their heels. If a soul is overloaded with perseverance, their behavior will change to adapt to their present circumstances. Determination. Determination is a trait that only Temmis possess and appears like an iridescent rainbow to an observer. Abilities, all of the previously listed and more. After my fight against Bakugo and subsequent vanishing to the third floor, nobody understood. Everyone clamored around me, demanding answers. I didn't answer anyone, leaning against the wall, eyes closed. Midoriya, why did you say all of those things? About Bakugo's sins? Yaoyorozu demanded. Why lie about such things? A silence fell over the room as I turned my head towards her. Lie? I asked softly. I have no need to lie. I gain nothing from it. I derive no pleasure, no joy from lies. We have a murderer in our class. So I said so. Stop talking out of your rear, Midoriya. We just want answers, Zero called. Answers you won't get. You should answer them, my Bio. I spin around and open my eyes to glare at All Might, eyes glowing brightly. Don't call me that. I growl, my voice doubling over itself. I calm myself with a deep breath. I won't be answering any questions I don't want to. Niza knows many of the answers and many of my secrets. Take it up with him if you're so sure you have to know. I relax against the wall, falling asleep upright. The next week passes with only 2 things to note. A break-in on Wednesday by the media, and I felt someone reeking of sin break in, but were gone by the time I got there. They'd not been in the building for more than a minute. And a meeting with Nizu. You wanted to see me, Nizu? I ask, not knocking as I collapse into a chair. Why, yes. See, I've recently made a new staff position, and I want to offer it to you, he smiled, and sipped that tea of his, filled with a number of pills to handle his psycho-killer tendencies. Name, rules, and description. UA judge. You'd basically become the judge for any cases where the student wants to appeal a punishment of a certain severity. Say a week of detentions or expulsion. You'd be the judge that years them out, listens to the teacher's reasoning, and views any evidence needed to come to a verdict. Why me? Your judgment gaze, of course. And you're sufficiently skilled enough to graduate and beat everyone on staff if you get serious. Meaning if things get violent with trigger or such you can handle it, he smiled, and pushed across some papers I take. Looking through 10, there were pictures and schematics of a large, elaborate hall. I was thinking this could be your judgment hall, so to speak. How often does a student try to appeal? Oh, a few times a week. Aizawa usually handles it, but his underground work is getting more difficult, and I felt it would be best if someone else took over that. But besides Cementos, nobody we have in staff is actually calm and rational enough for it. Each has morals and values that don't quite fit. While I am rather lazy, don't care about their connections, money, have basic morals and simple values. And I don't get angry often I finish. I note that behind the hall was what appears to be an escape tunnel and a smaller offshoot to an evac bunker. Correct. Are you in? Sure. At least I'll have a place to do my homework where my class won't really find me. Oh no, you won't have homework. I tutored you myself. I know exactly how smart you are. Cool. Bunkers for the students, right? Yes. And only in evacuation or appeal situations the hall will be completely out of bounds for students. I'm an Ion as I hand the papers back. Under the support course, right? Yes, it'll be done by the end of the week. I nod and left. On the bus to the USJ as our second heroics class, rescue training, I nap bored. On arrival, I stare at the building. Midoriya? Aizawa asked. What is it? I don't know, I answer. That's not true. I'm feeling a lot of LOV from the building. But that shouldn't be possible. We entered and I frown. My eyes go dark as I look around. Aizawa bogies in the plaza, I called, staring at the black and purple cloud that formed even as I'd watched. Number? Can't tell. My ESP don't work through gates. All I can say, I can feel a skeel ton of hate and LOV from it. 13, you know what to do. Aizawa leapt down, and I take a seat at the top of the stairs. All right, everyone, evacuate the building now. A number of villains begin to walk out of the gate, entering combat with Aizawa. Here and there I form a bone or two to trip someone up. The portal formed a figure in a butler's suit next to two people. A tall, muscular, bird-headed thing with no soul and a hand-covered villain with a black hate soul. I vanished from view before they could see me, instead taking a spot in some bushes and watching them. Aizawa beat all of the villains and stood before the trio. Who are you? He demanded. Us? We're the League of Villains. Nomu. Kill Eraserhead, hand guy ordered. Faster than I could process, the big guy vanished from his position and had Aizawa on the ground, snapping a few bones in the process. Aizawa's scream got me up and walking into view from behind the fountain. Realistically, I shouldn't have fit back there, but shortcut. You should really show mercy to others, buddy, else you're in for a bad time, I grin at them. Who are you? He demanded. Me? Not important. What is important, however, is that you need to learn how to show mercy. Mercy is for the weak. He shouted. Noma killed the boy. I sigh and snap my fingers, bones shooting through the Noma's skull. Weak. You kill my Nomo. You Chester that was meant to kill All Might. He shouted and charged me. AI. Another snap sprouted a blue bone square around him. Patience, young bone. No need to lose your temper over a little soulless husk like that. I jerk my thumb at it. You show too much spine for your skill level. Bone? Too much spine? You're making pins at a time like this? He demanded. Yes. It's punny. Anyways, leave, or you're gonna have a bad time. Blue eyes stared into the man-child's eyes. Kirojiri. He demanded. A portal formed underneath him, and he reappeared on my left, swinging his palm at me. I duck, snapping my fingers as I summon a bone. It grew and impacted his nuts, and launched him backwards into a flip. He vanished into a portal, and I turned to the foggy Kirojiri. You know not of what you've done today, he warned. Maybe not, but it was humorous. I grinned as he vanished. Then I lifted Aizawa onto a bone-made platform that I floated beside me back to the main doors. A man-child and a multi-quirked bioengineered creature? Nizu asked with a frown. Must be all for one. But if he had this thing before he died, why didn't he use it? Maybe he didn't die. I suggest. All Might crushed his head in his palms. I watched his brain matter run through All Might's fingers. You don't get much deader than that, he countered. Decoy? Realistic clone? A second brain somewhere in his body? With as many quirks as the guy has, I wouldn't be surprised if he just had so many regeneration quirks that he can't die by conventional means. I list a few ways to avoid it. Hell, in his final moments, he could have swapped places with a genetic duplicate he'd prepared. Or I'll have to think on this a bit more, he frowned, looking pensive. How is you class handling it? My classmates had been warped to the other zones in the USJ the moment they'd all gotten outside. Some almost died, precariously. Bakugo and Todoroki aren't rankled at all, but the softer ones like Azui and Koda are very shaken. Can't tell with many others, since Hei seem to be hiding it fairly well, I report, frowning as I try and figure it out. I think an obligatory session with Hound Dog Monday, just so he can get a stronger read. I concur. I'll let him and Aizawa know of this. What do you plan this weekend? He asked, curious, as he tapped at his keyboard. Napping? Not training? Nope. The villains did evade you, though. I let them roll my eyes. I had to look after Aizawa and the class. I didn't know if they'd try to use them as some kind of hostage or not. Let them. The man-child had hate, but his LOV was only at 6. He'd definitely kill someone with a good enough reason, but he's not quite at a murder everyone point yet. Some may counter this, but I genuinely don't think at this point he's killed many, angry and willing to kill perhaps, but he usually has to hate them to do so. His soul is a hate soul. But right now, in terms of Undertale, he'd be more of a neutral route Frisk. But he isn't Frisk in this. Yet. You believe he'll reach that stage? He's a man-child after all. Once he's suffered enough setbacks, lost, and matured, he'll get to it. I look out the window, my ever-present grin fading slightly. Besides, I made a promise against my better judgment, not to just assume that someone can't change. Maybe he'll realize being the villain isn't a good choice. Maybe he'll keep going. He's in a neutral antagonistic state right now. Nisa nodded, likely remembering the 3 categories I tend to categorize villains. Pacifist, neutral, genocidal. Pacifists are those that are low-level thugs or villains because they don't have another choice, whether quirk or home life, financial status, or otherwise. Neutral are those that aren't either of the 2 paths, but has an equal chance to be either. Genocidal are those like All for One, Moonfish, Muscular, and such. High-level murderers for fun, food, or other. Right now, that hand guy is in a neutral route as the antagonist. He's following the teachings of All for One. He can still shook off everything he's been taught, but it's likely he'll fall into the genocidal route. I hope he doesn't choose genocide. If he does well with that decay, quirk, I'm going to have to ask that you end it. Efficiently. Of course. Now I'm going to go sit in the hall and listen to some tunes. Need anything, call me up. I teleport into the hall, a white wall made from my bones forming to hide me from view. Nobody will know my name, face, or quirk. Just see the white bar wall and hear me. Thump, thump, thump. Ah, another appeal. The weeks pass till the sport festival, and I stay in the hall, training on my own, stamina, strength, toughening my skin. As long as I'm determined enough, my bones harden equally. It takes the equivalent of a truck slamming into me to even fracture my bones when my eyes are blue. And it only grows exponentially. The sports festival. I listened with boredom as Midnight was announced to be the referee of the day. I can already feel the filthy males around me growing hard as she walked on stage. She's gorgeous, a total of mile, don't get me wrong, but firstly, I'm not into her, and secondly, she's lesbian. It's why she takes on this role. It doesn't actually affect her all that much since she's not interested in guys anyways. She and 13 have a pretty nice thing going on, though. I just hate how desperate the men are. And for our student pledge, we have the top scorer in the entrance exam, Bakugo Katsuki. Midnight called. Oh great, how's he going to insult everyone? I glower as the boy as he walked up the stairs of the platform. I pledged to win and beat every loser here. And there it is. The crowd was in an uproar and yelling was coming from the classes. Screams, insults, threats, and challenges. Bakugo just sticks his thumb down at everyone. Well, gotta give credit where it's due. He's got guts, I grouse. Soon everyone was lining up for the first event, an obstacle race. Lots of movement. Hard pass, I yawn, and a few 1B students glared at me. Are you sure you even want to be a hero? Some purple-haired kid demanded. Yep. Time started to count down. 3, 2, 1, go. Everyone rushed into the tunnel. Then ice covered everyone's feet. Hey, that's not fair. Genius play by Todoroki Shoto, folks. The son of Endeavor catches his competitors off guard and traps and ice them to gain a lead. Present Mike shouted. I snapped my fingers, bones shooting from the ground to shatter the ice. Too bad. So sad, Todoroki, I grin as I mentally see Todoroki's anger. What's this? Midoriya Izuka breaks the ice and frees everyone in one action. I walk into the tunnel and sit down out of sight with a clear view of the giant TV, allowing the crowd to watch the frontrunners. Half an hour, I guess. My eyes close as I take a nap. I'm woken by screams and look out to see 10 people had passed. I wait for the next 20 before teleporting into the other tunnel to walk into the stadium, claiming myself 34th. Next was a cavalry battle. I summon a large bone and sit on it, yawning. Once we'd started, I watched the top 3 begin duking it out for the 10,000-point band with a grin. Idiots. Should I draw attention to myself? I asked my belly. It growled slightly. Good point. No need to bring eyes on myself. I idly summoned bands to me from low-ranked teams, gaining about 440 points. I sit in a comfortable third and fly around, drowsiness making my path random. They needed to let kids from another team join, since I flew on my own. I was the first fight. After a long break for water and food, I found myself on the edge of the arena facing that purple hair guy. You got this far? How? He frowned at me. I almost answered before I saw the little grin he had. He almost caught me in his quirk. Begin. Midnight called. I snapped my fingers, making bones form behind me that I sent at him. He dodged them. Barely. I sent more, letting the old ones fizzle out, this time in a random pattern, and tricking him into tiring himself out. With a snap, I summoned a long bone that shot from the ground, knocking him back off his feet and out of the arena. Midoriya, how come you aren't trying? Yaoyorozu demanded loudly. So you not know how important the sports festival is? I ignore her, eyes closed. Midoriya. Midoriya. She hit me on the shoulder, and I summoned a bone to sprout, just stopping right underneath the soft skin of her jaw. Don't bother me, Yaoyorozu. Use your skull and figure it out, I say calmly before dispelling the bone. You should be trying harder to win, though, Midori. Yamamo's right. You aren't trying hard enough. You could lose your place in the hero course. I sincerely doubt that. I know things you don't. Now let me rest. I need sleep. I do wish that I could pay more focus, but I can't for a few reasons. My magic, naturally cyan, represents a soul of patience, though I think I had dual soul traits when I was alive, determination and patience. But because my magic is blue, I literally cannot muster the energy required to do anything of unimportance until the right time. However, I can cheat this with my determination. Secondly, this whole festival gives the villains all of our tricks. I'm not even letting my Dan class know about more than my basic bones. Even if I use blue bones a few times since the start of the year, infinitely muster up the energy to continuously make new tricks on the fly, I can't afford to do much publicly, especially with the League of Villains snooping about this year. The USJ was merely the beginning. Over the course of the next 2 hours, I watch as my classmates show off the most complicated, powerful, and effective tricks they've discovered. It was mind-boggling how trusting they have of the public. I meanwhile used the same type of trick each time, white bones from behind my back. Semifinals was me against a black horse I've not seen before today. She was interesting. But something's been nagging me about her on the tip of my tongue, but I just can't figure it out. You feel familiar to me, I say with a soft frown. Have we met? Her ever-closed eyes move back and forth. No, but you feel familiar too. She seemed confused as well. Midoriya, Izuku. Ready? Midnight called. Ready. I nod, forming a bone staff in my hands, something new. Dreamer Frisk. Ready? Dreamer. Now why does that feel familiar? Ready. She nodded, her right arm shooting out and forming a knife. A knife made from determination. You can use your determination, I grin. This might be interesting. Her eyes actually opened from shock, and I saw a pair of beautiful eyes. A beautiful deep red of rubies with a backlit glow from determination. Her pupils were golden stars. What happened next was confusing. A memory flashes through my mind. Her my judgment hall and a normal knife. Her eyes shut, but she wore a blue and pink shirt and a golden heart locket. She seemed worried? No. She was terrified, but not of me. Then she lost her fear, flickering into a girl with red circle cheeks, a green and yellow shirt on, and a crazed grin on her face. Then it ended. Suddenly my mouth began to move, and I felt my eyes darken. It's a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing. Flowers are blooming on days like this. Her eyes shrunk in terror, glassing over as she no doubt had a memory hung too. Girls like Chara should be burning in hell. My eyes glow. Go. Midnight called, looking confused but ignoring the strangeness of my words. Frisk closed her eyes again and attacked. I ducked the first trio of slashes. Duck, move right, and hop over the third. In retaliation, I clubbed her across the face with one end of my bone, with a fierceness that surprised me, as instead a memory of her being stabbed through appeared. She spun through with the attack and almost gut me with a back slice that would have cut me shoulder to hip. A blur as I rush around her, moving to a distance and lifting my left hand, ground under her cracked, and bones shot out. It didn't surprise me, as she evaded them with unnerving ease. Like this was something she'd done 100 times before. With a gesture, I sent a wave of bones at her, but she weaved between the bones, knife slicing one down the middle. We continued to feel each other out, feeling an immense level of combat power and experience behind the other. However, I don't move above summoning bones in the air or ground. Likewise, she didn't move past slashes or stabs, spinning her body in dizzying movements. After a good 10 minutes, I caught her by surprise by stomping at her foot as it lowered and flipped her on her back mid-air. A spin kick to her side almost sent her out of the arena. If she hadn't used her knife as an anchor. We need to talk, I tell her before turning to midnight. I forfeit, got nothing left. Well, a dreamer wins. Midnight declared. The stadium screamed, and I lifted Frisk up. You're up against Bakugo next. He'll try to do as much damage as he possibly can, I say, quietly, hidden under the roar of the stadium. He's nearly killed me before, but failed. You have to hit hard and fast. The more he sweats, the stronger his explosions get. I slip a paper with my phone number on it to her and walk away. I took a seat in the stands and leaned back. Why the hell did you forfeit? You had her on the ropes. Kaminari demanded. I got bored, I lie. This is a competition. You're supposed to win. Kaminari shouted. And? I got bone tired. Why try when I've shown enough of my skills? I query. I've done what the sports festival was meant to be about. I don't care about no shiny medals. Ketchup's enough for me. That said, I don't nap, concentrating on the fight. To say it was an upset would be an understatement. Bakugo's steamrolled his competition all day, and suddenly he's utterly obliterated. Frisk used a determination shield against his explosions and swung so fast that a dozen red slashes caught Bakugo off guard. The slashes knocking him off balance and throwing her shield while he was stabilizing got him to hit the ground. Outside the arena, at a girl, my grin widened. With gold, Frisk got first, Bakugo got second, and I got third, tied with Ida, who, surprisingly, wasn't there for it. That night, I got a message. Unknown, Midoriya. It's Frisk. You changed Unknown's name to Frisk. This is Midoriya. Frisk, change your name to Sans. Sans, touché. We need to talk about these memories and why I want to pull you close. Frisk, I believe I have somewhat of an answer. My quirk allows me to jump back in time to a certain point upon death. Or rather, I believe I send my memories sideways through time streams. I frown. That makes sense. Sans. And you think these memories may be our alternate selves? Frisk. It's the most logical reason. Because in my memories, you are a literal skeleton. Sans, true. But we've only seen glimpses. We need to see. Sans more. Frisk agreed. These only started the moment we met face to face. And contact caused entire chunks to come back. Frisk, what if we touch each other's soul? I almost immediately sent back a hell no. Sans, I'm against it, but perhaps that's the fastest way. I'm not willing to wait months to remember this stuff. Frisk, ditto. I should move this to some lighter subjects. Sans, I'm in Class A. You? Frisk, Class C. What's your favorite color? Sans, purple or red? Frisk, red? Huh. I would have expected blue. Sans, relatively new change. I remember her eyes. Beautiful. A blue blush crossed my face as I thought of her eyes. We didn't get around to meeting up Phil about a week after internships, during which I had to save Ida from staying. Pretty simple to do, with psychokinesis and a fair amount of shadows at night. I gone with Nizu, who just let me have a week dealing with paperwork, good training for my determination and psychokinesis. But before internships, we'd done something very important. Hero names. Flashback. I nap in class, bored and sleepy. I've been kept up the past few nights with horrifying images of her killing me or me killing her. All right, class. Today we're doing something vital to your future, as Pro Heroes Aizawa said. Walking in. Code names. Whoa. Hell yeah. Finally. 3 guesses who said that. Enough. Aizawa used his quirk on everyone, and they quieted down. Now, I have someone else here to handle this, since I'm too tired to deal with you brats. Mood Eye snort, getting a rare smile from Aizawa. All right, everyone. I'm here to make sure you have proper hero names. Midnight declared as she walked into the room. Oh God, I can already feel the masculine lust growing. The class slowly began trickling up to the front of the room and showing off their name ideas. Bakugo, of course, went overboard villainous. Almighty Explosion Murder God, he declared. I couldn't even bring myself to laugh like the rest of the class who thought he was joking because I knew he was all too serious. Denied. F you old hag, he shouted. Deciding to head off the coming argument, I walked up to the front of the class and showed off my one. It was a name that had appeared in every memory referring to myself and felt right. Sans, the Judgment Hero. Denied. Judgment Hero is already taken. Fine. Sans, the Karmic Judgment Hero, I emphasize. Approved, she said. I return to my napping. Sitting in the judgment hall, I finish up the last bit of paperwork Nizu gave me just as the door creaked open. An ESP glance let me know it was Frisk, so I walked out, dispelling the bone wall. Frisk, I nod. Ready for this? Ready as I'll ever be, she shrugged. Eyes as ever closed as usual, and her soul appears in front of her. With a thought my own did the same. We approached one another, stopping right before our souls brushed together. In unison and on an unspoken command, we reached forward, pressing a single finger against the other soul. Suddenly memories flooded me. Happy memories, sad memories, anger, grief, hope, and love. We gasp, collapsing to the ground in agony as our memories rapidly create new synapses and pathways through our minds. Thousands upon thousands of resets, numerous ways where either has gone insane and become some monster. Dust Sans, Horror Sans, Killer Sans, Chara. The variations as we move sideways through timelines, Frisk as a girl, boy, monster, and I the human. Centuries of continuous combat, pacifist, neutral, and genocides running through my mind. It hurts. My arm reaches out blindly, and I grab Frisk, pulling her close to me, even as my eyes burn with tears for the many, many timelines I saw Papyrus die. Sans, she cried into my shoulder. Frisk, I can't begin to understand the violating feeling of Chara forcefully controlling me. Killer me willingly merged souls with her, but none of the others ever dealt with her. It took hours before we were able to stand. Heads aching and muscles burning as we got millions of muscle memory patterns etched into us. You have skin, muscle, she spoke first, leaning against my chest up against the pillar. And you too, what about Chara? Not in here, a sigh of relief slipped out. The overwrite worked. Overwrite, a power we got from our exhale selves, and one we used exactly once together in a pacifist route. To activate a continuous overwrite erasure of all evil Charas in any timeline we ended up in. We didn't believe a single overwrite would be enough. Those attempts usually sent us into a timeline where Chara was the royal judge and I the king or human. So we did it together. We are free, finally. I kiss Frisk, joy swelling within me. Her response was just as joyful. We will never face a cruel Chara again, but never will we forget them either. I took a look at the time and sighed. 5 o'clock. You have to get back before curfew, I tell her regretfully. Come with me, I don't want to be alone. My lips upturn in a small, fine smile as I heave us up. You're a bona fide genius, my dear. Frisk giggled, and I took us through a shortcut, coming out in front of the 1C dorms. We slipped in and up the stairs silent as the night that was creeping in. In her room, I removed my top half off and lay in her bed, waiting. She came out in oh so familiar pajamas. Scooching over, I let her slip into bed beside me, pulling her back against me. After so long of missing something I never knew I was missing, I feel complete. The weeks leading up to the end of term were filled with dates, training, and school. Unfortunately, Frisk refused to allow herself much rest time, which upset me. But knowing her as I did, I capitalized on it all by literally dragging her out on dates. She didn't need to be stronger, just a habit born out a long time of desperate need to gain power in case she had to fight Chara. There was exactly one time that they fought one another, Chara was on a throne and Frisk had my magic. It was technically in their own mind, but Frisk did show me the memory once. Trippy as hell, and equally sadistic. I tutored Frisk on what the hero course was doing and had done since I know she'll be moving up to the hero course next term, especially after her sheer skill shown in the festival. Finally, the finals arrived, and I lagged behind everyone in boredom. Even I don't know what the exams are going to be. Class B tried a trick is into thinking it was robots, but I knew better. Why repeat the entrance exams when we've only gotten better? All right, everyone, I'm sure you're all wondering about the final exams for the term Aizawa started. Not really. We found out from Class B that it's robots. Kaminari just had to open his stupid mouth. I facepalm. What an idiot. I snapped my fingers, and a bone appeared to slap Kaminari up the head. Ow. Midoriya, get your act together, idiot. And actually think, nobody really believes we're just redoing the entrance exam. That would be stupid. My personal student is correct. Nizu suddenly shot out of Aizawa's scarf, the sleep-deprived hero not even being fazed at the absurdity of the event. Redoing the entrance exam while letting us see how much stronger you've gotten would not be a challenge for you all. No, you will be facing the teachers. Huh. It was Yaoyorozu who asked that, and I don't think she registered that she'd done it. They will be wearing weights to restrict their movements, and the goals will be almost identical to the first combat training class you all had. But instead of the objective being a bomb, it's the exit gate, or you can cuff your teachers. I'll read out the pairings against each teacher now. Team Sato and Kirishima versus Cementos. Team Azui and Tokoyami versus Ectoplasm. Team Ida and Ojiro versus Power Loader. Team Todoroki and Yaoyorozu versus Eraserhead. Team Uraraka and Aoyama versus 13. Team Ishido and Kaminari versus Nizu. Team Koda and Jiro versus Present Mike. Team Hagakure and Shoji versus Snipe. Team Mineta and Siro versus Midnight. Team Midoriya and Bakugo versus All Might. This is a joke, right? I demand. There's no way he'd team up with me. F you, I don't need some lazy one to win this stupid fight. Bakugo shouted at me. All Might specifically requested this matchup. He seems to believe that you two will make a great team. I could hear the sarcasm from Aizawa, even without looking at him. Then I won't be held accountable if I kill the symbol of peace I utter, eyes turning to black pits. Excuse me? How on earth do you think you could kill All Might? He's basically a god. Kill a god, you become a god, I quote, and add my own belief to it. Make God bleed, and everyone stops believing in him. All Might is no good, just a very durable human. And with that little bit of wisdom, I stepped on my bus and took a nap. Ours will be the final fight. And I'm not all that interested in watching the others. Instead, I walk my mindscape, wondering what I can gift my Frisk for our billionth timeline. It would have to be important. I've learned a huge amount of tricks and secrets over the many, many timelines. One should be useful. The bus shakes me out of my sleep as it stopped, and I stepped off after Bakugo. We'll need a plan, I say. Disgusted I have to work with Bakugo. But even if they did try to, and succeed in killing me, if only for a moment, I want to be a hero. He'll get his due one day. That I'll win without your shitty powers. He shouted, rage filling his voice. I beat you first week, and I barely tried. You need to learn to use the abilities of those around you. I retort, just as angry. You can't beat him on your own. I can and I will. Just watch me, you stupid comedian. He roared, swinging his bracer around at me, but I dodge it. Instead, I form a slanted wall of bones as a massive air wave completely obliterated the street around us, leaving us on the only piece of tarmac and every building around missing its front. Still think you can beat him? I asked Bakugo, lowering the bones to show the devastation. One long-range punch. What if he hit you with that directly? TCHE blasted forward, but All Might appeared out of nowhere and gut punches him. He hit the ground with a pained gasp, the spit flying from his mouth. Wide open in shock was a beautiful moment I immediately memorized. 2 heroes for me? This'll be fun. All Might grinned and picked Bakugo's stunned form and threw him at me. I vanished from view and reappeared down an alley, leaving Bakugo to fight against All Might. I tapped my earpiece. Yes, Sans? Recovery girl asked. I won't lose points for just taking a shortcut to the exit, right? That's a no-go. No shortcuts, I hear Nizu in the background. F it, Nizu. What about my inability to work with Bakugo? Yeah, give it one more shot, but you can let him be brutalized for a bit first. Sure, I tap it again, closing the connection. I teleport to a rooftop and just sit on the edge, watching Bakugo try to fight All Might and fail spectacularly. Only after he stopped, suitably happy that Bakugo wouldn't get up, did he leap towards the exit, likely expecting me to be trying to escape. I appear beside Bakugo. Get back up, ground zero. The target's escaping. I called, kicking aside. Are you going to lay here like some pansy, or are you going to kill All Might? He shot up and glared at me. He ran toward the exit thinking I was trying to escape. Ready to make a plan? Or are you going to go solo about this thing again? I sincerely, he wants to go solo again. TCH, what were you thinking? Well, you must have had a huge cruising while unconscious. I snap my fingers and a blue and orange bone appear. Blue bones make the one hit unable to move without immense agony. Orange hurts the one hit unless they move. I hit him with both, and you come in with those gauntlets from above. He thinks you're out of the fight. His face twisted into a snarl, and I kneel beside him, calling on my gaster powers as two skeleton hands with holes in the back appear, green energy appearing. I direct them to his ribs and arms, focusing my energy there. We don't have much time. I can only heal a small amount before he returns. You should be able to handle the recoil of your gauntlets. But we only have one shot. He'll adapt. Done. The hands vanish and I stand, feeling the drain on my stamina. You better be right, you comedian. He got up and rushed towards the nearest alley, then blasted himself up the walls toward the rooftops. I turned around and knew I was so getting myself beat when a fist appeared millimeters from my skin. Vanishing from sight, I snapped my fingers, the area turning black and white as our souls appeared, normal bones forming behind me and shooting at him. I note how his soul is a justice soul and cracked at the edges. Corruption. How cute, he sneered and punched the air. My bones aren't affected. What? One hit him in the face and the rest knocked him back. With a gesture, the ground opened up and he was impaled by a dozen bones, half blue, half orange. What the hell is Thigar? He screamed as his insides felt like they were melting. Sayonara, All Might. I tossed my cuffs towards him even as the sound of explosions above sounded, and he looked up. He was covered in fire and smoke, but I used my psychokinesis to cuff him, not even surprised by the steam that flooded the area. The darkness vanished, and I sigh, feeling exhaustion from healing. Bakugo fully hit me. A bead of sweat rolls down my face. Students win. Sounds out from speakers hidden around the mock city. Bakugo landed beside me and grabbed his shoulder. Remember this, Bakugo. Alone, one may defeat an army. I look towards him, my eye lights both on. But with allies, one can kill God. I turn away and walk back towards the bus, ready to just cuddle my frisk and sleep for a week. Maybe I should make a magic container to store excess magic for a later date. Nah, but not much really happened after that. The teachers pulled a fast one on us and said everyone was going to the summer camp. Like they'd say no to training, the failures more. So we decided to head to the shops. By we, I mean the class. I was dragged along for no reason. So I sat in the middle of the mall and feeling for LOV around me. However, the number of souls and pesky LOV in the lower levels made it a difficult task. I get up suddenly as I sense a powerful amount of LOV and hate in the area. No doubt something's going to happen. I need to find a vantage spot. I find a nice jeweler's and walk in, taking a glance at the many gemstones. My eye in particular, a heart-shaped one, a hybrid of a ruby and a sapphire that mixed in the center. It was even in a lovely heart shape. Excuse me, that gem, is that naturally occurring? I ask, acting like I didn't know much about jewelry. I don't really, but I do know ones like that are very rare and amazingly compatible with magic. Oh yes, the soulmate gem. It was a freak accident that the person who brought it and found it. A combination of ruby and sapphire that melded. However, instead of being something like a garnet or an amethyst, they ended up being some smoky quartz, the lady behind the counter said, pulling it from the cabinet. Nobody really wants the thing, too weird and all that. But I like it. How much? Well, it's been here a few years. and as rather large she thought, and it was rather large, fitting in her palm, the two halves are the size of 2 to 3 gummy bears. But since it's not likely to be sold, 219,000 yen. I don't get paid much in allowance, but I do have that account from the Yagis. It was set up to automatically add a good chunk of yen per month. I root around in my wallet and pull out the card for it. Let's see if I got enough, I grin, mentally smirking at the idea that if it's a bust, then I wasted Yagi money. It went through. Welp, would you like it on chain or something? Nah, I want to make that myself. Extra special C, I accept the gem and turn to leave. Even a bonehead like me knows not to buy everything from a store. Stepping out, I see the hand-covered villain from a USJ holding Tsu by the throat, sitting down casually as if nothing was wrong. Even from as far away as I was, I could see the fear in her eyes. A part of me itched to just stab him through right now at his sheer arrogance, but I kept that in check. Instead, I summoned a blue bones and sent it through the crowd, stabbing into his wrist, making his muscles freeze up. A second bone threw Tsu off the bench and away from him, causing her to quickly react and flip, her frog instincts calming now that the predator was no longer focusing his bloodlust on her. He looked directly at me, and I grinned, phone already to my ear. Yanizu? Hand villain from a USJ appeared at the mall, had Tsu, but I got her out of his grasp. The guy vanished into a portal, his hate overpowering my blue bone, shattering it. Can you contain him? Nizu asked, even as I weaved through the crowd. Negative. He already escaped. I reached the spot. Look after Azui. Make sure the class is all right. He hung up, and I put my phone away after sending a quick SOS to the class group chat. Sue, you good? I could tell she wasn't. Her hands were jittery and her face blanket than usual. Yeah, I'm good. I roll my eyes and pull her to me. She immediately collapsed and began sobbing on my shoulder. Shoo, he's gone. He can't hurt you anymore, I murmur. It was a scarce 5 minutes before the class had arrived. What happened, Midoriya? Ida immediately demanded, seeing Tsu was crying into my shoulder. The hand villain from a USJ had her in his grasp. I got them apart, but he vanished. I already informed UA. Uraraka finally arrived, looking flushed, and I frown, but don't react as I notice a few buttons were wrongly done. What did you do to Tsu? She demanded angrily, her face turning into a frown as everyone looked at her, the flush looking more like rage. He didn't hurt me, Ochako. He saved me, Tsu finally said, pulling up from where she'd been crying. I remember something. Hang on, weren't you supposed to be walking with Tsu? I asked. Why the hell weren't you here? I thought you were friends. She looked scared for a moment before her facial expression closed up. I had to do something personal, so I told Tsu to meet me at the food court. Red-Eye looks round and count everyone who came as present. Well, groups of 2 or 3, we should finish our shopping while we're here. No use kicking up a fuss and freaking everyone out. I cast a glance at the people still going about their day, unaware that a villain had been so close. They left, and it was a few minutes before I got Tsu up and went around with her for the stuff she wanted. And I also got her a cute frog plush to help cheer her up, something she hugged tightly to her chest. The police, Nizu, Aizawa, and All Might arrived after a bit, and after some questions we were allowed to go back to the dorms. I spent the afternoon watching Tsu, seeing how she was handling the situation, and sent off a quick text to Frisk that I wouldn't be over tonight, that a classmate needed some comfort. Despite the scare earlier, everyone was acting like things were normal, and I was the only one to notice Tsu was left on the outskirts of the group. It annoyed me, but I also kind of got why. They didn't want to dwell on the fact that a villain was so close, and as a result they were accidentally pushing Tsu out at the same time. I got her attention and jerked my head towards the elevator. She nodded, and we silently took the elevator up to my floor and went to my room. Midoriya, why are we here? Karo Tsu asked as I ran a finger along the notebooks on my shelf. I know how you feel right now, Tsu. To be utterly terrified. Weak. Useless. I find the book I want and pull it out, turning back to her. Am I sleeping all the time? Pins, jokes, and stuff? A facade to hide behind. I don't have a quirk like everyone else. I never did. I sat down on my desk, and she sat on the end of my bed. What do you mean? You have a quirk? She asked in confusion. No, that's not a quirk. It's magic. I looked down at the book I was holding. Embossed on the cover was a green heart split down the middle. On one side was a doctor with a needle. On the other, a warrior with a shield. I waved my hand over it and translated from windings into Japanese. I use magic, specialized for my soul, to alter the world around me. There are a number, 7 base soul traits, each a different color. Red, blue, green, yellow, orange, cyan, and purple, and each represents a specific trait: determination, integrity, kindness, justice, bravery, patience, and perseverance. So you know which one you are? I don't know. Her impassive face showed no signs of her figuring out what is this talking about. Kindness. You have a green soul of kindness. With it comes a powerful gift. I smile. Those with a kindness soul are specially suited for healing, and protecting others. I lean over and hand her the book. That is a list of spells and a few tips on how to touch your soul. In the cover is the 7 main souls. There are only 3 variants I know of. Hate, a black soul of someone consumed by their hatred, leaking black from there. Eyes and mouth. If it's intense enough, they may have blackness growing over their body. I further explain. Pink. Fear, the only soul I know that can resurrect the dead, but only if they were the ones to kill the person, and only in specific circumstances in my soul. With a thought, my soul took form. A white upside-down heart. This is what I call a monster soul. It has no specific trait that powers it, no underlying abilities that are special to it. If I die, I'll turn to dust, no corpse. My bones are my personal magic, not something others could learn, even if they had my type of soul. Why? Why show you this? Tell you all this? I asked, getting a nod. Because you remind me of someone I knew a long time ago. He had a monster soul like I, but if he didn't have a monster soul, he'd have had a kindness soul. He always believed in the best of someone, promised himself to always forgive my brother. Papyrus. He had bones too, but his special bones were orange. I snapped my fingers and 2 bones formed, a blue and an orange. As long as you keep moving, the orange bone will not hurt you. Easy to do, and it fit his nature in not hurting others. My blue bone hurts those that move through it. I learned how to summon his as tribute. I'm sorry for your loss. I got over a long time ago, but that's why I'm giving you that. I nod to the book. You aren't a fighter, you're a guardian, a protector of those that can't look after themselves. Like a mother, Froppy indeed. I grin. You don't talk about your past much, she said. It's very complicated, and you wouldn't understand half of the concepts involved, but let's just say this isn't my first rodeo in the heroing gig, and leave it at that, shall we? A nod. Great. Tomorrow's Sunday. I'll introduce you to my girlfriend, and we'll start teaching you magic and how to fight when your enemy plans to kill you. Can I stay here? She asked softly. All right, go get ready, I'll wait. She slipped out, and I got changed and brushed my teeth. She came in wearing an oversized frog onesie and holding the plush I got her earlier. I moved over, and she slipped into bed, cuddling me tightly. I stare in slight bafflement as Frisk fawns over Tsu like an overprotective mother. That's adorable, especially how Tsu seemed so confused about Frisk moving around her as fast as she was asking question after question. I'm sorry, but how did you 2 meet? Karo Tsu asked, making Frisk blush, and I chuckle. How about it, bud? I asked. Frisk peered back and forth between us and opened her eyes to look at Tsu before closing them again, coming to sit beside me. I guess we can tell her of the underground. The underground? Tsu asked. Do you mean the underworld and black market stuff? No, we mean the underground, where monsters were sealed in our original timeline, Frisk said. See, a determination soul is the most powerful soul in CA, have for one specific reason, I say, and snap my fingers, making the world go black and white and our souls appear. As long as one is sufficiently determined, there's not actually anything that can stop them. Not even time or fate itself. I've died many trillions of times, but my determination allows me to come back to life in a newly constructed body, Frisk said, and stabbed herself in the head. Her soul cracked in half and shattered. I tossed the corpse away, and Frisk appeared from a glowing star that formed. But respawning is only the beginning. I can reset, Frisk said, bringing he button up. When I do, though, it obliterates the previous timeline and moves us sideways into the next. For some reason, even though I'm the only one that resets, Sans always remembers too. And due to the fact that we boy have more determination than the historical point, we reset till we instantly take over that version of us. Our determination quashes, there's easily, I shrug as Frisk returned to her spot. Sue just stared at the corpse. Oh, right, Frisk stabs her body and flooded it with determination, vaporizing it rather than just detonating it. I vanish the battle mode and focus on Sue. After explaining the basics of the underground, our various timelines, sheer number of them, and Chara, she was notably distressed. So we instead focused on teaching her to access her soul. First, I had her focus on her family, remembering the love and care she had for her siblings, the fondness she had for their antics rather than irritation for their immaturity. She managed a weak, eggshell-thick shield after an hour. That would only grow as she grew stronger and more in tune with her soul. Most of the class left for Island a week after the shopping trip, and by then I was reasonably sure Sue could take care of herself. I'd already grown attached to the kid. Meanwhile, I was working hard on my side project. Frisk kept trying to peek, but I know her well enough that I can predict her every move. The class returned from Island buzzing and a few injured. Though those were broken bones, scrapes, and bruises, I could tell had been healed by the smoothness of the skin. Something big had gone down, and they'd had to sign NDAs. I didn't push Sue. I let in I knew something had happened and moved on to her training. The week leading up to the training camp was filled with excitement and anticipation from the mentally challenged members of class who thought it was a regular old summer camp. When we were on the bus, I sat with Sue. When we stop, hide and don't get off, I say softly. Kara, she said nothing more. We've shown her numerous memories of ours, some of the lesser traumatized ones. Fights, tricks, plans, and such, nothing to affect her mind or anything, but enough to get her to be more in her guard than the class would normally be. Good training, but not over the top to turn her into a crazed war veteran that jumps at everything and is suspicious of everything. The bus slows, and Aizawa gets up once we'd stopped. All right, everyone off the bus. We're here, he called. We stay seated, using the guide of allowing everyone else past first. So what was that about? She asked. Logical ruse. He'll have the class travel the rest of the way on foot fighting dirt monsters, thanks to the wild pussycats. You aren't strong enough to last a 7 hours trench through the forest with your magic yet. That's what I'll be focusing on with you these next 2 weeks, she shivered when I grin. After a while, he hear cries of shock, and I lower myself in my seat. Pulling my hood over my head, Sue followed suit, leaning against me in false sleep. Aizawa waked up the aisle and found us, stood there for a few minutes as the bus moved and watched us. Arrived at which point I climbed out of my seat, grabbing everyone's bags with my psychokinesis. You told her, didn't you? Aizawa asked. Yeah, but I'm handler training personally. I don't want her tired out because of your antics, I shrug, directing the bags into the rooms for boys and girl, almost knocking Koda over. Oh, hey, Koda. How are you? I ended up saving his parents from muscular a while back, completely by accident. I even took his eye in the process. I'm good, Midoriya. You? He asked, coming over. I'm all right, bud. This is Tsuyuazui, Sue for short. I'm teaching her magic, too. Koda's a bit of a pet project of mine. He has a soul of patience, so I wanted to see if I could end up teaching him to use bones. No luck. Instead, he has telekinesis, gravity manipulation, and shortcuts, though he can't go far without completely knocking himself out. Still a hell of a good variety of abilities. Really? Wicked. What can you do? Koda turned to her and asked eagerly. Sue raised a hand, and it glowed green, healing energy coming off, and a shield forming on her left arm. Kindness isn't the best in attacking. Looking after others, though, she whispered loudly, as if it was a huge secret. I can heal people. Koda's eyes widened, and I could almost see little stars of amazement forming in them. Awesome. He grabbed her hand and vanished. I feel them reappear in his room a good 100 meters away. He's gotten stronger. I follow. Nice work, kiddo. I ruffle his hair. That was a good 100 meters, and you weren't even breathing heavy. Yeah, I've been working hard to get stronger. I can tell. You're making sure to meditate at least an hour a day, right? I check. I can tell he has been. Yeah, but it's so boring. He groaned. making Tsu giggle. Meditating increases your magic, sharpens your mind, and calms your magic for better results, bud. Can't help it, I shake my head regretfully. I began teaching Koda as a test to see if I could impart knowledge on how to make bones to a human soul, but other than a few of my non-bone abilities, he hasn't been able to do it. My guess at his age playing a role in the abilities he got. I'm at the point where I only meditate when I sleep. In a fight, my determination narrows, my focus to my goal, sharpening and calming it, but turning it into a sharp scalpel. What do you mean? Sue asked. He's young. Kids usually mimic that which they see. I showed my psychokinesis and shortcuts. He managed to get shortcuts, telekinesis, and gravity manipulation. Show her, kid. Koda nodded and lifted a hand towards Tsu, a cyan glow covering it as his red eyes shift into the same blue as my own. Tsu's soul appeared and turned dark blue. Suddenly she fell upwards, landing on the roof. Gravity inversion. Nice technique, but I grinned. Koda smiled at me and lost focus. Tsu falling back down. This time she landed on her feet. But can you do this? I applied on myself, flipping upside down with a kick of my foot as I lifted up and stood on the roof, hands in my pockets as I grin at them. Oh, come on. What? Don't have the spine to try? I jeer. He frowned, and I see his eyes flare blue. He began to float and just sat there. Huh. He lost concentration and fell. Nice, I didn't learn zero gravity till I inverted myself and almost hit a sharp stalactite. I float beside him. Don't worry, you got decades to figure this stuff out. I suffered a lot of broken bones taking it too fast. Let me give you a hint. His TV turned on, and I put in a game I bought him. Then I navigated to the right ability. Parallel processing? He asked. In games, they depict it as being able to make twice the actions. In real life, it allows you to think of two separate things at once. I focus on a few different things to float leanness. It should be a good starting point to keeping yourself in the air while talking. Watch a few magic shows. Personal recommendation? So I'm a spider. So what? It's an anime about a girl who is reincarnated as a spider and yearns to regain her human form. And it has parallel processing? Sue asked, suddenly confused. It does. It also has the unique perspective of what happens in the head itself as you think, which is why I suggested it. I explain as I land. Koda, Sue, and I were lounging on beach chairs and enjoying the sun's rays when the class finally arrived, just in time for dinner. About time you slowpokes got here. I called mercilessly. You prick. We could have used your help. Yayarosa gasped, losing her earnestness to curse me out. Though considering how she looks like she's not eaten in months, I'm not surprised. Huh? Oh no. If you think you're tired now, wait till the camp starts. And besides, I'm a chess code. I could do the force challenge in half an hour. I wave my hand at them. I wouldn't get anything out of it, so I thought I'd let you have the experience to yourselves. And Ajui? Ida groaned from the ground, calves suffering second-degree burns. I've been waiting for you to train, Karo, she admitted and walked over, holding her hands over Ida's calves. A green light emanated from her palms, and the red burns slowly healed up, the area regrowing newer skin and muscle. What on earth? I cut them off. I taught her that. Don't try and get her to teach you, only Koda could learn it. And she's by far nowhere near as progressed as she'd need to be to teach him. That weak sauce healing nonsense teach me how to break stuff. Now you stupid bonehead. Weak sauce, huh? I frown. I'll have you know that as long as it's a fresh injury, Sue can now heal any wound. Cuts, burns, stabs, bullets, explosion, and if the limb is still intact, entire limbs, and even spinal damage, I retort, shutting down all arguments. Now it takes energy for that, and it's slow at the moment. But that's what I'll be personally training her for these next 2 weeks. I'm not fool. I know exactly what I just did. I turned to Frog in the class. Adorable as she is, she wasn't all that high in importance. But now that she's a healer, well, her importance just shot through the roof. Having shot down any protesting, I returned to my son bathing. I get so little of it nowadays. The training I made Sue undergo was quite simple in its complexity. I had her constantly moving. She was healing everyone she could reach. I kept up with instilling urgency and fear into her. My aura is perfect for activating her prey instincts, at which point I force her to overwhelm it with her desire to help someone. It took some getting used to, but I think I did it all right. On the last day of the 2-week camp, I couldn't shake something was off, but nothing happened all day, so I relaxed my vigil slightly. That night, after courage, we all went to bed. Only, I didn't wake up in the cabins. Immediately, I could feel something was off even before opening my eyes. My arms are by my sides, arms elevated on armrests. Metal bound me in place. I've been kidnapped. Suddenly I hear people talking. Really? You're already a villain. Then what if I kill your classmate? Shoes thump against wooden flooring and a hand rested on my face for fingers. Oh no, I'm really in it this time, aren't I? You think I care about some D-lister in the making? Huh, don't make me laugh, Shigaraki. Then his death will be on you. I was about to shortcut out of there when the wall burst in, surprising everyone. A thumb pressed against my right eyelid in shock. Immediately, I felt pain as my skin immediately began to burn and itch, the cells dying at a rapid rate. It quickly spread across my face even as the world kept moving around me. I hack and cough on my knees. Despite the pain, I open my eyes. Dust. Dust everywhere. Am I back underground? This a new time, no. There's Bakugo. The dust clears a bit more, even as I feel the decay growing further across my head. Dust falling from my body as it slowly decayed away. This can't be my newest death. I feel my eyes darken in my rage. Suddenly large winds shoot up, and I see Bakugo go flying, Shigaraki flying from out of view with him. I turn, finding All Might had punched a suited villain. His aura, however, was what I used to identify him. All for one. Suddenly large winds shoot up, and I see Bakugo go flying, Shigaraki flying from out of view with him. I turn, finding All Might had punched a suited villain. His aura, however, was what I used to identify him. All for one. To when he deflates. The same people came to rescue Bakugo and Izuku, but Izuku didn't hear them, and Su took Izuku's place. Hollow cheeks and sunken eyes. What a top hero! I heard the sarcasm from a mile away. But now I have to get up. By now the decay's progressed into my guts and innards. Hey! I shout. My voice is deeper. Back like when I was using my magic to speak. Right? No vocal cords. I force myself to my feet. I looked a mess, clothes in tatters covering my body. I stumble forward as they turn to me. I grab as the sagging skin on my face, the muscle and veins are decayed, the skin gray and dead-looking. You should be dead, All for One said, his voice echoing around the battlefield. Not quite, I grin, feeling control of my skull returning to me the more I spoke, and I do something disgusting. I grab the skin around my left skull area and pull. The nerves are dead, so it doesn't hurt, though the skin did try its best to stay whole. Must be a determination bleed through effect. Bone reshaped, and my clothes disintegrated as I took a few more steps, dust falling for the cuffs of my clothing till all of my flesh vanished, leaving bone and rapidly disintegrating cloth. Now free of the dust, I snap my fingers, casting a spell to swap the rags I'm wearing, covered in vital fluid and dust with my hero suit. From a pocket, I pull out a tissue, using it to wipe off my skull, leaving it a pure white bone isn't meant to be. Usually they're stained yellow until cleaned. I have a question for you all. For one, I grin, my eye flaring, flicking the tissue to the side. Are you ready to have a bad time? He stared at me. Well, he didn't have eyes, but with his quirks, I'm sure he was staring at me. You shouldn't be alive. How are you talking? You're a skeleton. Decay should have killed you. He repeated. Decay? Oh, that hurt a skeel ton. My bones are near indestructible, though. I snap my fingers. Summoning some bones, I launch at him. He swung that massive arm aside, but the bones turned blue and stab. I to the arm, locking it into place. What is this? He demanded, growling as he ripped the bones from his arm, the damage repairing. With another gesture, the ground underneath him cracked and shattered as bones shot out. He jumped out of the way, but while in the air, I summoned a Gaster Blaster behind him. It didn't incinerate him, but it did leave major burns on him, his form slamming into the ground, even as I feel my magic I flicker. Karma causes him to scream in pain, the karma attacking his soul directly. Not something he has a quirk to defend. With a grin, I summon a swarm of Gaster Blasters and order them to fire. A dozen beams of raw magical energy blasted him. He climbed to his feet, and I could see the hate he was feeling overflowing from his mouth. though to others it may look like saliva. What sorcery is this, brat? Who the hell do you think you are? I am All for One, king of the underworld and the quirk merchant. No skeletal child could defeat me. He roared. Oh, I'm no normal child. I sent an orange swarm of bones at him, but he blasted them back with a wave of air that barely ruffled my jacket. See, you stole my quirk as a child and left me to a life of hell. I had to find another way to become a hero. I think I did a pretty good job, as you can see. Bones come from the ground in front of me to block an energy blast before withdrawing to reveal All for One in front of me, fist mere millimeters from my face. I slide to the side, and All Might follows. Once we were away, I look at him. You should get out of here, old-timer. It's not safe for a quirkless person. I summon a medium-sized blaster that bit into the back of his hero suit and flew off. I turned back to All for One and summoned a massive bone from beside me, hitting him hard and sending him away from me. The bone vanished as I reached up and grabbed All for One's soul with my psychokinesis, freezing his body in the air. Then, without even a gesture, I send him to the ground, a dust cloud forming where he hits even as I summon blue bones to stab into him. Not letting up on the attack, I summon a blaster to shoot at the spot, but it missed as All for One dodged. I will kill you, he roared, launching at me with super strength. I don't even blink as I catch him mid-air, a mere meter from my face, and a Goliath Gaster blaster formed behind him, mouth wide open. Get dunked on a bit down. Vital fluid splattered over me, and I saw his soul shatter. I get rid of all the bones and blasters still in the area aside from the one holding All for One, looking at the corpse. I'm right, his soul wasn't a determination one. No resets this time. I snapped my finger, and the blaster reoriented before charging up. Then it fired a powerful blast into the sky, incinerating the corpse. I don't want to know what a copy of Reanimation Quirk could do with him. I shake my head and turn away, walking into the building and looking around. I find Ragdoll and look at her. Carefully. Her integrity soul is dim. Come on, Ragdoll. Let's get you up. I reach down and pick her up, pushing a small chunk of magic in her as I do. Her soul shines a little brighter thanks to the top up. Wrapping her arm around my neck, I pick her up to walk back out of the semi-demolished building. My eye dimming back to 2 white dots. By the time I got out an ambulance and police had arrived, including the other pussycats. Ragdoll. Tiger noticed us first. He rushed over. Careful now. She's had her quirk stolen. Come visit soon. I'll give you guys a book on integrity soul magic for her to learn. I carefully hand her over to him, letting him carry her to the ambulance. Pixie Bob was already there, and Mandalay came over, looking me over. Are you all right? She asked hesitantly. Yep, this is technically my true face. Reason I had skin and organs was because I was born to humans. I let my soul manifest for a moment. Upside-down souls like mine are actually monster souls. We have unique magic and forms. You'd find more monster souls in mutation quirk users than those that look more human. Decay only removed the human flesh from me. So being bare bones isn't uncomfortable. No, I can still feel. It's just more interesting feeling the air pass through my eyes and ribs. I shrug. Right, I'm going to pretend I understand anything you just said. What can I say? It's more humorous for me than worrying. I disconnect my alarm and wiggle the offending bone, getting a short laugh from her. Sticking it back on, I shrug. Only downside to this is the lack of lips. Can't kiss my girl as well now. Still got a tongue. I open my mouth and stick out the glowing blue appendage. How? Pure magic remakes important organs. Brain, tongue, eyes, and a few others. They don't all look or work like normal, but they work. I shrug. Right, Mr. Midoriya? I turn to see a cop looking a bit nervous. Yeah, bud? I have orders to arrest you for murder. I don't want to, but well. You'd lose your job. I shove my hands out for him to cuff. Thanks, he cuffed me and directed me toward the cop car he put me in the back of. The seat was rather tough, but with due to being boned, that wasn't exactly an issue for me. The trip was much longer than I expected, though as I thought about it, it makes sense. With the chaos the fight caused and sheer power in each blow between All Might and All for One, there might be structural damage in the surviving buildings in the area. They're probably relocating everyone to a safer distance till they can check on the area for sinkhole risks and such. I take a nap while the cop drove. I woke up at the feel of the car turning off, and count an hour had passed. Looking around, I immediately identified where we were, and the driver swapped midway. Someone with higher clearance. I'm at some kind of facility in the mountains. You're the guy I let arrest me, I observe, surprising the guy. Yeah, he was needed for rescue efforts, so I took over. He raised a hand and showed he had a hook. Can't really help myself. I could smell the lie, but I didn't call him out for it. Makes sense. Sorry you're stuck with that thing. When he wasn't looking, I reached into my pocket and grabbed the soulmate gem, slipping in my mouth and up into the back of my skull. One good thing about not having a brain, lots of space. And everyone forgets that I don't have a brain to take up the area anymore. Yeah, nobody can help the quirk they're born with. He shrugged and got out, walking me to the main entrance. My ESP field easily slipped through the energy barrier around this place, likely a localized quirk dampening field emitter. I hide my amused snort, but do not. The number of people seem to be low. So how long you think till I get my phone call? I ask as the doors close behind us, acting the innocent kid. Phone call? A different person asked. I look over and see Madam President of the Hero Commission. Well, yeah, I was arrested. Don't I get a free 5 minutes call? I query. No, so you don't get to have contact with the outside world anymore, Midoriya. Really? Why? Because you have information we want. Until we have that, you aren't going anywhere. What information? I asked, curious. You said during the fight, you stole my quirk as a child and left me to a life of hell. I had to find another way to become a hero. I think I did a pretty good job, as you can see. We want to know how you did it and how to replicate it, she said, even as I moved deeper into the building. I look at her soul and see a cracked, dim, yellow soul. Your leading trait is corruption, and your eyes show LOVE 13. Interesting. Love? Huh. You must be mentally challenged. She let out a small, derisive snort. Not love. LOV, it's an acronym. For what? She frowned. Level of violence. A scale to match one's capacity to hurt. 120 I draw. Can't be very accurate if it's up to 20. You kill, but try to keep it on the down low. And definitely have others do it. You likely indoctrinate innocent people into being your servants and followers. Why lift a hand yourself when you can throw someone like Nagant under the bus for doing your dirty work? She looked at me piercingly. Okay, maybe it's a good system, but I doubt you can get that much from my eyes. No, most was your soul. There's 7. You have a yellow soul, meaning justice. It's cracked and dimmer than a true justice soul, so it's a corruption soul. Politicians have him, and no smart politician ever does their own dirty work. We stop at an elevator and get on. She hits the lowest button. My magic is quite impressive, but even I can't read minds. Not without specific circumstances. Magic? That's what you call this new power type? I call it what it is. There's way more to it than bones and gastroblasters. Good, you will tell us all about these uses. No, I don't think so. The elevator opened, and we move along. You don't understand what's going on, child. I hold all the cards. She swiped her card on the wall, and a beep sounded before we continued. How so? Well, you're currently in one of the most secure facilities on the planet, more secure than Tartarus, filled to the brim with lasers, biometric scanners, a meta-ability dampening field, guns, blades, traps. Everything we could imagine, this place has it. Didn't Nizu escape a place like this? I frown, acting concerned. Yes, this one in fact. We've since updated the security to triple the deadlines, removed his form of escape, and a quirk user immune to the field will manipulate the labyrinth in a number of ways that will leave the person back where they started. Thought of everything. Sensei will be pleased when I manage to escape, I chuckle. Oh, that won't be happening. The hall led to a single for that opened as we approached. Within was a clear box, and in that box was a table on its end with metal clamps. Pure diamond box with a graphene table. Each band is carbon nanotube, and all is enhanced by a quirk to an indestructible level of durability. So useless then. I allow them to strap me in, my grin never fading as I keep my eyes locked with Madam President. I still need to eat, just so you know. Not sure if you might think that without a stomach I won't need food. Just wanted to make it clear, I grin. I like tomato sauce. This isn't a hotel. You don't get to choose your food, she scowled. I shrug as little as I can. Can't say I didn't try. I guess you could say that I'm boned? Hee hee. That was a bad pun, she glared. They all left, and I closed my eyes, instead watching them leave with my ESP field. Patience has always been my strong suit. I wonder how they'll react when Frisk tears this place down around them. It took a week for Frisk to find me. Not surprising, since I doubt she was able to just cast a spell to locate me. Not after I lost my skin and organs. She'd have to do it the magicless way. The first sign I got that something strange was going on was the shaking. When they put me in here, I noticed the dust in the air, and I've been watching it, occasionally manipulating the gravity in here to be upside down, sideways, and normal to create shapes. I managed to create a rather stable tesseract pattern when I felt my bindings shake against my bones. A grin stretched across my skull. There your love, I grin and roll my tongue. Pulling the soulmate gem from my skull, I've been working tirelessly on it all week, not sleeping once. I've infused it with my magic and constantly pushed more and more power into it. It had undergone a major transformation. It had grown a rib cage of glowing blue bones on the red side and orange bones on the blue side. The edges had joint-like markings, and at the top of each round cutting was a chain made from bones with invisible joints. The explosions and destruction were growing stronger and louder as my Frisk came to me. Bang! Bang! The roof glowed red. Kaboom! The roof exploded, sending smoke and debris in every direction. My little box was the only clear air in the room. Sans? Hey, love, perfect timing. I teleport out into the smoke before Frisk, summoning a single bone to stab and shatter the cage, cutting the restraints to give the illusion I was cut free. I hope you aren't upset about my loss of lip, she kissed me. I loved you before you had lips. Now let's get out of here. I make a ruckus, so the medium might be on its way. Of course, love, I reverse our gravity, sending us vertical. Coming free of the cloud, I note that it's nighttime. Oh, I have something I made for you. Happy 1/1,000th, my love, I spat the gem into my hand. This has as much magic as I could shove into it this past week. It has one directive: to allow you the ability to use my magic as you did against Chara in your mind. It will recharge to its current amount, and it'll tie itself to your soul. AKA, it'll follow her in every reset and death. I got a massive kiss for that. When I hooked it over her head, the gem started to glow. Suddenly, her soul appeared, and we watched as determination flowed into the gem, the orange bones darkening to red. A final flash, and the bones around her neck turned the purple of the smoky quartz middle. Beautiful, just like my human half. I smile. We reach the surface, and I land is beside the massive hole where the mountain used to be. You really destroyed the entire mountain? I ask, not surprised but curious. Frisk destroyed a whole planet before, but destroying the mountain was overkill. I wanted to make a statement. Don't take my sands. I saw the dangerous glint in her life that reminded me that Frisk was a Yandere of epic proportions. Amina, if a girl flirts with me, she won't do anything since she knows I'm loyal. But three things send her into her Yandere mode. Kidnapping me, obsessive girls, and other Yanderes. When it comes to her destroyer tendencies, well, three things set her off. Princess, the princess, strong man, savior trope, and magical girl worlds. See, there's one thing we both hate more than Chara. It's magical girls, especially the dumb ones where the villain will literally stand there and watch the 30 seconds transformation, and spells are literal songs and rhymes. Attacks with hearts, sparkles, and rainbows also made us angry. So if we reset into one of those, I let Frisk immediately destroy it. The PTSD in Frisk is so strong the mere mention causes her to have half her face covered in hate as a power boost she uses to destroy the first thing she looks at, which caused a good 5 city detonations when she tried to see a therapist. I look around and hear as a chopper moved our way. I grab Frisk's hand and shortcut to UA, reappearing in Nizu's office. He took a single look at us and smiled. Where was it? Nizu asked. Your old place. Madam President didn't even think that magic may be able to work in the anti-quirk field. She was the boss of it? He asked. Yep. Frisk destroyed the mountain. That caused him to blink and look at Frisk. You destroyed a mountain? He asked in disbelief. I'm not surprised he's shocked. Frisk is such an unassuming person, gentle as can be and polite. Her eyes are shut. All monstrously powerful people keep their eyes closed. Nizu, I snort. Well, I never noticed that he cursed in bafflement, likely having just realized it. Yes, well, I've not slept this week, and I'm sure Frisk wants to sleep. I'll be in her dorm most nights like usual, I inform him. All right. No babies hear me, he pointed a pen at us, and I nod while Frisk just blushed. I blip us there and slipped into the bed. Frisk quickly changed, but I was out before she joined me. Surprisingly, my rescue wasn't on the news. The commission definitely covered it up. Now, the vanishing mountain, however, was definitely noticed. It was blamed as an unnoticed casualty of the All Might finale, as the media were calling the All Might versus All for One fight. They were also going IND on about how he was a washed-up hero and I may be the next symbol of peace. I sent in a single email. In it I specified my chosen hero name and the fact that if they wanted to give me a title, make it the Karmic Judge. I also specified my karma ability to explain why I'd prefer that title. Within hours I was trending. Hashtag Sans Judge. Hashtag Karmic Judge. Hashtag Sans Skeleton. And more along that line. The whole fight was edited and compiled into a stunning fight of epic proportions. Everything I said was in it and blew up. The idea that I didn't have a quirk but still had powers made everyone go nuts. There were huge amounts of people demanding information and asking about if anyone can learn. I made a social media account and posted a long letter to the world explaining anyone is capable of learning. But nobody will learn without my express permission because of the fact that a single person could destroy a city with these abilities. And it could happen so fast that no hero could stop the person before the entire city was massacred. Surprisingly enough, the response wasn't as bad as I expected. There were haters, but they were a minority. It was probably because I mentioned that nobody without my express permission would learn, meaning I'll teach, but only to those who would use it right. Meaning villains wouldn't be able to use magic themselves, and I wasn't going to just hoard this information. My class, however, was filled with people demanding to learn, especially once they saw how useful Tsu was now. I gave Tsu permission to teach Koda, since kindness souls are very rarely capable of using their magic for cruelty. And if they do, it's for a good reason. So Koda started learning, and due to having to find ways of teaching, I watched over the next weeks as Tsu grew in leaps and bounds. The hero licensing exam came and went. It seems after my escape, Madam President's taken a step back on how to handle me, especially with Frisk around. Meh, not like they can permanently kill Frisk. She'll just come back, or worst case scenario, she'll reset. One day I was taking the trash out as my daily chores when I noticed a face coming out of the wall. Need a hand? I asked the face. Nope, I'm good, it said, and continued to watch me. I tossed the trash bag in the dumpster and frowned at the face. You know, when you frown, your skull moves. That's not natural, it said. MHM comes with a magic. I wave my finger, yanking the face forward with telekinesis, and immediately regret the action. Why are you naked? My clothes don't come with me when I use my quirk. Ugh, huh. I sent him flying at the wall, which he phased back through. The moment he left my sight, I teleport back to the judgment hall to find her doing some calculus on the couch I brought for napping on a while back. Sans? She looked at me in confusion as I just stare at her in wordless confusion. I just saw what I believe is an upperclassman naked. His face was looking at me through the wall. So I pulled it through, but his clothes apparently don't come with him. I blink. I need snuggles. Oh, come here, Sans. She stood. I sat in the chair, and she sat on my lap. I just hold her as my mind goes around in circles over and over. Why? 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 Shoo, don't worry about what you saw. Focus on me. Baby Frisk's voice calmed my frantic mind, snapping me out of the loop. Thanks, Frisk. You're too good for me. I should be saying that about you. Chara used my face for centuries to kill your brother. But you still accepted me. I sigh, but don't argue, remembering all too well that Frisk can argue forever thanks to her determination. Instead, I enjoy the peace. I hate my life. I look around at my down class with irritation. The only ones still up are Tsu and Koda, their kindness shields somehow disabling the phasing Mirio can do. Surprising because he phased through my blue bones and psychokinesis. But not my gravity manipulation. His quirk just makes the new down his new launch for point. With him stuck in bubbles, I stare at the floating naked dude in annoyance. Can you please admit defeat? As long as my eyes glowing like this, I have infinite energy. And with your gravity anchored to that point, it's like you're in the center of a non-existent planet. No matter to launch from and no way to wait me out. And how long can you last? Because everything has a limit. You can last upwards of a year. Frisk shouted from the sidelines. Excuse me? Mirio frowned. As long as I have determination for an end goal, I will continue to emit magic like this until that goal is reached, or I'm convinced against it. As long as my eye glows, I have infinite energy. Ergo, until I forget of your existence, I will remain determined for you to admit defeat and have the power to hold you there until either I forget in a year, or someone can convince me to stop caring, at which point you'll fall a good 2-story building height randomly. Breaking bones before you can react, and being unable to fight. If you're even awake to react, I explain. Already bored. You seem bored. Won't you lose interest? Nah. My end goal is you to admit defeat. Whether or not I get bored during the process won't end my determination to get you to admit defeat, I shrugged. Now when I get bored, I'll go do something else. Without a brain, I can split my attention between 50 or so tasks if the others are simple. All right, I admit defeat. I drop him and move over to Frisk, sitting beside her. Sir would love to meet you and your broken magic. Set up a meeting date and I'll show up. Right now I want to sleep. I turn away from him and push Frisk on her back. Her face not shifting from her homework as I face plant between her melons and conk out. So, this was the end of part 1 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.